So distinguished guests and EIF members and friends, I want to welcome you today on this debate on fake news and hate speech. A special welcome, before I proceed, goes to our colleagues, MEPs who are here with us, Rosa Thun and Ivan Stefanek, thank you, and I'm waiting also for Ms. Castillo, I think she's going to join soon. Also a special welcome to our speakers, whom I will mention one by one when I will present them. Hate speech and misinformation are visible elements on the online information disorder. They have changed their forms through the social media and the platforms. They are actually could even affect elections, political developments, and of course change the life of anybody. They can even change maybe even the economies and the industries and the reputation of anybody of us. So misleading stories, since we have experienced interesting elections the last year, they have always existed though, even before social media, and they have impacted public opinion, generated emotional reactions, and played a huge role in shaping the public sphere. And some cases, they also try to increase violence or hate. However, there is a growing awareness recently, and we're trying to understand how digital platforms can follow some rules without, in any case, affecting freedom of speech that they have actually supported for so long. For me, it was social platforms that helped me get my campaign with no budget going. So it was really essential for me to be able to use these platforms. And also, since I didn't have access to the traditional media, I understand how valuable it is to have unfiltered communication with your citizens, your voters, or even your friends. So I value extremely the tool that they offer to us, the tool that they have become. At the same time, we have to understand that we have to be aware of the implications that this freedom can provide to anonymous sources or to people that they have in their mind to affect political decisions or create, maybe through fake news, strength and power and influence in so many different levels. So it's also natural for governments to try to do something about it recently. Campaigns to understand how fake news can be traced, and also we need to make sure that there will be integrity of the free and democratic societies in the digital age by protecting citizens' constitutional rights, freedoms, and security online. GDPR is also taking place in May, which will try to add one more filtering of protection of the citizens, principles of who gets your data, who can use your data, the responsibility of the platforms that contain this data. But what we have to be very aware is to keep, as I said, not to happen to the expense of freedom of speech. So we see that in case of Germany, for example, there is a law that can fine social media up to 50 million if they fail to remove illegal content like hate speech. So in this case, it's very interesting how we define hate speech, and this is what is important, what we define to be fake news. But in Europe, since I'm talking recently with the Commission, we are trying to have a more mild approach to make sure that we give options to the citizens of what they want to believe. Of course, remove what is illegal or hate speech, but to make sure that we are clearly understanding the definitions of that, and this will not go beyond what is illegal. So we have to address this question. We have to find new answers. In STOA, which I'm chairing, Science and Technology Committee of the European Parliament, it's also called, thank you, Ms. Castillo, for joining us. Thank you. In STOA, it's called Science and Technology Options Assessment, this committee. of the Parliament options. So we like to provide members of the European Parliament with options so that they can make their own decisions. I think this is crucial for also our citizens. So we create the European Science Media Hub. This European Science Media Hub will be basically like an observatory to monitor cases of strong misinformation as they can become really viral, especially in times of elections that can manipulate or affect them. But also in order to provide citizens with credible scientific data that we have, and they don't have access or they don't know where to find the source of this scientific data. So we are working with other institutions, and it's financed by the EU budget. It will guarantee, like that, the independence from other funding or political interference. And we aim to counter fake news against the EU by providing alternative, reliable and scientific content to contradict that without banning that. It will operate under the responsibility of the STOA panel. Mr. Karapiperis is here, who will be the director of also this very important hub. And apart from that, we have to make sure that we will understand and work closer to national and EU level regulatory civil society media initiatives that exist or are being developed. Some of the questions we expect from our speakers to answer to is how these initiatives work, if we have good results, if they think we can do something to support that, to improve that, and if freedom of expression is safeguarded. And also, what is being interesting also, because we are in the European Union, it's important to have a transatlantic initiative in that. Should we or shouldn't we? In Europe, we are extremely careful to protect citizens of the data of citizens, but also the quality of their life and freedom of speech more than I think any other union. So these questions are addressed to you, and I will present our speakers immediately. First of all, Miss, just give me a second, Susan Ness, Senior Fellow of the Center for Transatlantic Relations of the Johns Hopkins University, also a former member of the US Federal Communication Commission. So you understand that we start from the transatlantic cooperation and best practices and examples that we can identify and how we can work and improve our relationship together. She's focusing on transatlantic digital issues, and if I read your CV, it's like quite long. She's been very active. I think it's really important just to mention she was a vice chair of the William Fulbright Foreign Scholarship Board and a member of the European Institute Board of Advisors, so has also the European perspective. I will give her immediately the floor, so the floor is yours. Thank you.